Hey, welcome back to the Backyard Professor Chess videos. I have a truly power game. I am so not kidding. From Alekhine, especially on his bishops. I will try to show you how he plays his bishops and what he's doing. This is just incredible. And he played Gruenfeld in 1926. Gruenfeld was no slouch. This is not one of those simultaneous expeditions or exhibitions where he plays kids and people who's only been playing chess for a week. No, this is another very powerful grandmaster. And the way Alekhine plays this, it is really something to behold. Truly, it's delightful. And he'll take the pawn immediately. The queen gambit accepted. This is typical. Not a big deal. Knight f3, bishop g4. Still more typical. Now, Alekhine does something interesting. Gruenfeld will bump his bishop back, and of course he pulls up the queen knight, absolutely. e6, he said he needed to play the knight. Instead of e6, the way Alekhine has opened in the center, Gruenfeld really needed to do this because Alekhine's going to come this way with the queen. And that is a one. It puts his power on the queen side, and he can obliterate the queen side. But it does immediately start attacking the king, and it is because Gruenfeld is not developing his king side. He's not even attempting yet to get prepared to castle. That Alekhine wanted to do this particular situation. And Gruenfeld pushed the wrong piece. He pushed a pawn, and he shouldn't have. So he immediately jumps up after this bishop. And the bishop comes back. And now he's really pushing the pawns against that bishop. And Gruenfeld, unfortunately, has to bump the f6. And so now Alekhine pulls the trigger and says check to the king. And it's not a crisis, but it doesn't notice the enormous amount of pawn moves Gruenfeld has done and how many times he's moved his bishop. And in the meantime, Alekhine has three really fabulous pieces out, and he's got central dominance, and he is gaining tremendous space. And you say, well, but it's going to make it so that he doesn't have any cover on the king side. This is Alexander Alekhine. He doesn't need to cover his king. He's doing an attack. And I know that's not a very good explanation, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you see what he does in his game. It's hilarious and yet awe-inspiring. It just kind of blows you away. You go, wow. I mean, only Alekhine can get away with that. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, well, knight goes ahead and takes the bishop. No question. And H will take. It does give Gruenfeld a column to attack, an open file. Well, a semi-open file. I call it open. I know, I've got to get used to saying a semi-open file. That is not a true, pure open file, but, you know, the point is, target. He's got a target, right? Okay, that's good enough for me. And queen now takes the pawn. That's a typical maneuver in the queen gambit, whether it's accepted or declined. Once you pull your queen up here, if something's over here, a bishop, a knight, a pawn, or whatever, the queen will take it. King already comes to f7. He knows he's not going to get castled, so he does an artificial castle kind of thing. Actually, what he's doing is what Yusupov calls in, and this is more toward the, this is in the opening, but you build a fortress around your king toward the end of the middle game and in the end game, when things have been crazy and wiped out and swapped and traded out and all your tactics have been done and all that jazz, then you regroup. Well, Gruenfeld is already feeling the need to regroup right now because Aлекhine's pressure on the pawns in the king's side is way too strong. He's got weaknesses because of that exchange, right? So Alekhine is focusing on the weaknesses and the, how do I describe the non-standard position, and he's going to take advantage of that. That's about the best way I can describe it. And he is going to take advantage of it. Boom. Yeah. Get your space, put your pawns out there. Remember, when you push pawns, it is vital to back them up with pieces. Yeah, we've seen videos where they don't and they get clobbered. Yeah, very important. Finally, the knight does come to d7. It's past the time where it's really bothersome and worrisome. Bringing out his bishop. The queen will also come to a5 on the queen side. And so Alekhine will do a quick little bump. And rook to e8. He wants to give himself some extra. Now, it's true. Gruenfeld's pawns are advanced. They're doubled here. They're not necessarily blockaded, but really they're not going to go anywhere. He doesn't want to push those anyway. He wants to keep them up by his king. However, look, the ability to develop his pieces on the king's side is really hampered. And that's what Alekhine's gunning at. He's saying, aha, I can gain an enormous amount of space because it feels kind of cramped, doesn't it? He can't really maneuver and manipulate his pieces to squares to where they can coordinate either an effective defense or an effective offense. So Alekhine's going to take advantage of that, and how he does so is exquisite. Kablam! Look at that line of pawns! I mean, wow! Holy cow! That is something else. He's taken over the whole board, man. I can't help it. Games that have really unique, interesting positions, and this is true. Alekhine really does fall into this category in dozens of his games, but I'm discovering so does Bobby Fischer. And I'm really contemplating, I really think I'm going to do a complete look at all of his tournament games. I really think that would be fun to do. I suspect that could boost our chess enormously. As I'm going through Yusupov's materials, as I'm reviewing and going through Silman's materials, if I can apply what they're saying, showing how Fischer put it together and how it's not difficult, because if we learn how to make the right pawn moves first, then this is how we can best coordinate, say, a rook and a bishop, or say, a queen and a knight, or whatever. Fischer was the master of that. I really think, I mean, it'd be like a 2-year project, but I think I'm going to do that. I really think I'm really contemplating that hard. Carefully. Knight e7, okay, yeah. Now see, here again, he does get the knight out, but you can just feel the cramp on there, man. It's really tight there. Yeah. Yeah, that's not comfortable. And the queen is way over here. It almost looks like she's out of play, doesn't it? That's because she's out of play, isn't she? That's why it looks that way. The value and power of reading the chess position. Yes! What a pure genius view. Yeah, whatever. Come on, people. Well, Alekhine castles. Very nice, very nice. The pieces are behind the pawns. I mean, it looks reckless in some way. Look at that. And you're, dude, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who taught you how to play chess? It really does. But with the support and the conjunction, I mean, the queen's all the way across, with the support and conjunction of the pieces, those pawns are very strong. Yeah, so it's wild. I gotta confess, it's wild. He does bring his knight to c8, and blam, you have the wonderful line of pawns. You have delightful piece support behind the pawns. Push them. Attack. Yeah. It really is understandable. He is in a real good position to attack. The queen's coming up to here. That's why that pawn... You might ask, well, for Pete's sake, I mean, look, dude, I have 5 choices of pawns to push. One criteria is, where's the king? I mean, you say, yeah, that's too simple. No, really. It is, and that's the point. We can do this with some practice. You know, it's not just the exclusive copyright of grandmasters to play like this. Where's the king? He's here. Okay, okay. What pieces are supporting the pawns? Not too many. It's too cramped and tight. Okay, my pieces are supporting my pawns. My queen's hitting this pawn. That's a direct... And the nice thing is the knight is behind this pawn. Although you have the rook, I agree. The rook is giving it some oomph, but the knight might be an extra good target. So it really does make sense that he pushes the f pawn, because he's hitting where you're going to open up the king. Yeah. Let me just back up for just a quick sec. You might ask, what do I do? What do I do? What's the next best move? I mean, we're not nearly as knowledgeable as Alekhine was, right? I mean, we could do this, but that would be a complete stupid disaster, right? Because then the queen gets into the king. Yeah, you're threatening the queen, but that's an empty, idle, stupid waste of time move. You don't want to do that. You could theoretically put your knight over here, but why? See, there are no... there's no glaring weaknesses, I'll put it that way, on the black queen side. Actually, it's really not that bad. The queen is here, true, and she's by herself. You might be able to do some tactics to get her in trouble. But both of these knights are covering some really good squares, kind of in the queenside center. So that's actually not a target to attack so much as the king side. Go after the king, because he never did get properly castled, and he's not going to be able to move out of your way as easy as it is for you to throw an attack at him. So this really does become understandable. That makes sense? Okay, okay. Enough lecturing, dude. Show me the game. Okay. Knight does come up to d6. Hitting the queen, hitting a pawn that is behind the chain. So, I mean, he's got targets. He really does. And black is playing for... This is Gruenfeld. Again, we're not talking Mickey Mouse here playing Donald Duck. These are two very, very good chess grandmasters. Both of them at this point are at the height of their powers. So, I mean, he does have targets, and he does acquire them. It does bring out another piece now. Now, this is a better looking position than it was 3 or 4 moves ago when everything was crammed up in that corner, isn't it? Because now he's got a central, basically a counterattack to the attack. He is hitting the center. Alekhine is probably going to the side here because that's where the king is. It's not incorrect to attack on the wing if your center is secure. That's the idea. Well, you look at Alekhine's position and you go, yeah, that's a pretty secure center. So it makes perfect sense that Alekhine is fighting on the wing, and the response is to counterattack in the center, and we are seeing Gruenfeld do this. I mean, Alekhine is not just walking over Gruenfeld. This is a great game of chess. I just want you to see that. It makes really good sense. Of course, at this point, see, I mean, that's a possibility. Gaining more space, hitting the pawn. He's got this rook here. A possibility. That is a possibility. You know, there's actually a few moves Black has. This one, with the piece, coming up, expanding his center influence, hitting targets, that is a good move. Right? As opposed to if he had done something really stupid like this. Or like this. Yeah? I'm just blabbing. Good move. It's a great game of chess so far. Okay. Yes! Okay, now the queen is hit, so he'll come to a2. Alekhine here, he does retreat, he does respond to the opponent's threat. Look, it's pretty tight and cluttered there. It's pretty compact. Cluttered's not the right word. It's compact, it's dense. Alekhine did not lose his central diagonal to the king by retreating the queen. He kept the power. He just moved to safety. Had he done this? No. Can you see the difference there? Really seriously. That is wrong. That's passive. No. You're actually weakening your position and your attack capabilities by pulling the queen off that diagonal. So Alekhine came here. Yeah, she's way down here in the corner on the edge. At this point, it's okay. He lost nothing of power for his queen by that move. I just want to point that out. And you'll see it. It's coming up. It's pretty cool. Okay, now look. What did he do? What did I say? Well, that's true. I played through the game a few times first. But really, truly, there's no reason for Gruenfeld to just let Alekhine come and mow him over with the pawns. So that move is sensible. It really does hopefully give him a little bit of space so he can operate more effectively. I mean, right now his dark squared bishop is just so tight in there. He hasn't been able to connect his rooks. He can't double his rooks on any kind of a file. Alekhine could if he wanted to, real easy, but Gruenfeld can't. His queen is out here in the field, but yeah, man. That's a tough one. And Alekhine does not take. He brings the h5 up. Uh-oh. Look, this is one of those Silman object lessons that so impressed me when I first read him a few years back, and I am in the process of rereading him and restudying him. Really, it's a good review. You have a really nice imbalance here. You have space and he just doesn't. Why not improve that imbalance? That's what helps make good chess better. right? That's what we're after. So you have him cramped. Why trade off a pawn and trade off a pawn? Now look at, hey, you're starting to see sunshine through the concrete wall cracks there, aren't you? Wait a sec, that would help black. You can see that. You're giving black more space. Yeah, you acquire a little bit of material. But no, that's not what you want to do. No, there's no reason to take the pawn. This is a beautiful option of pushing it and locking it in. It limits his rook. It limits his bishop. It limits his rook. It limits his knights. That's not bad. Keep black cramped. It improves your space, and it makes the cramp against black stronger. That's a great little pawn move for that reason. Now see, we're looking at the imbalance. We're trying to see how can I make it even stronger in my favor. What the idea of targets with the intent of improving your position, this really does improve Aлекhine's position. No joke. And it's just a small pawn move, but it's by small means that great goals are accomplished. That's why we're only given life one day at a time. Thank God, right? God, could you imagine having to handle a month at a time? Couldn't do it. No way. So, good move. Well, he comes over here to b5. He's going to expand on the queen side. He wants to get a counterattack going because Gruenfeld does realize, oh man, on the king side, Alekhine is dominating. Well, I don't have to let him dominate the whole cotton-picking board. I can do something about this queen side. So he's properly attempting to do something. Right? I mean, this is chess. You got to try that. I will be pointing this out a lot on purpose because it's very necessary. The b5 is a wing move. The counterattack will be on the wing, meaning the side, the wing, the center. You have the queen wing and the king wing. Yeah? So when your opponent begins to attack on the wing, where do you attack from? Where do you counterattack in? Where do you counterattack to, if at all possible? The center. Yes. And Alekhine does. Push the e-pawn. He's expanding the queen side. You go right up the gut. Right in the center, every time. Central control and dominance with lots of delicious space at this point just because of that imbalance. The space. White has the winning position. And it's just one imbalance. I mean, there are dozens of them. Bishops versus knights, rooks on open files, things like that, you know, who has more material, who has the initiative and all that jazz. There's a lot of imbalances. Just the one imbalance shows you white is winning. You don't have to have all of them in your favor. Once you find an imbalance that's in your favor, keep emphasizing it. And wow, you're playing good chess. This is a great illustration of that. I love this. This is very cool. F takes e5. Yeah, I mean, he was hitting your knight, your central posted knight, which really doesn't have very many places to go. So take the pawn. That makes sense. Now, bishop d3. Here comes the power. The one bishop of black has been exchanged. The other bishop of black just sucks. And that is sucks with a capital S. That bishop is dead. Compare Alekhines. Because, again, he has more space. He can and does put his bishops on better squares than his bishop is. I mean, guys, it's just basic. In a way, it's just basic. When you make our pieces better than your opponent's, when we make our space better, when we make our pawns better, that means you're having a better chess game with more power. The reason why the power follows someone who enhances the imbalance is because your pieces are better coordinated and situated to be more effective in attack or defense, whichever way you need to be. It just flows from that imbalance. This is wonderful to see. It really is. So, okay, E4. Yeah, you're cramped, man. You gotta push. You're cramped. And target. You got a target. Nice. The knight takes E4. Not only did black acquire a target, but he gave white a target. And you go, okay, I see how this works. And knight sees a target. Blam. Now notice what happens to the black position as they exchange pieces. This is a very good black strategy that Gruenfeld is doing. When you're cramped, it's worth exchanging some pawns and pieces, because that gives him more space, which means he's more maneuverable. Notice now how the black bishop has opened up. Now he can become useful. See how that works? So pushing the pawn, letting it get taken, exchanging a piece or two is very good strategy on black's part. That was a good exchange for black, giving him the ability, maybe now he can get this bishop out here to help knock off these fighters and connect his rooks, possibly put his rooks on a double file, double his rooks on a file, and ram a pawn through or something. So now things are looking a little better for black. Really. That exchange was good. Unfortunately, it increased the strength and the scope of both of white's bishops. So, yes, you've helped improve the chance for you with the extra space to put together a better defense, but you gotta recognize, man, it improved Alekhine's bishops. Yeah. Who still controls the center without question? There's the difference, man. No kidding. What a great lesson, though, right? Knight comes to f6, and f takes e6, check. Here come those cotton-picking pawns that had gained so much space because they have the real estate behind them. They can even begin carrying out the attack. The imbalance, man. It's powerful here. The imbalance is powerful with this one. Kind of like the force. Yeah. The imbalance. So, well, and the rook will take. So the rook does get on the file. He does have targets, but white has targets also. Talking 90 miles an hour and I get dry throat, man. So the increase of his bishop's strength, one, because they're in the center, two, because now black is not so cramped, neither is white. There has been some exchanging of pawns, there's been some exchanging of a couple of pieces. You improve your imbalance, which gives you increased power. Check. Wow. That's a bishop, isn't it? Ooh. Ooh. Holy cow. King e7. And you have powerful bishop. Why not make it stronger still? Wow. Only Alekhine, man. I love playing through these games. That is awesome. I mean, I get goosebumps just looking at that. That is just incredible. Yeah. He's going to try to get some counterplay going. Doesn't matter. Bishop f5. On the outpost. Hitting the target. Target. In the center. And Alekhine, that dork, that moron, ignored one of our 3 pillars. He didn't put a rook on an open file and attack on it. But he didn't have to, did he? Because of his fabulous imbalance of extra space, because of his incredible, superb strategy of advancing so many pawns and backing them up with pieces so that there is more space to coordinate more powerfully with your pawns and pieces, the rooks on open files didn't even play a role. Remarkable. The only rook to use an open file was Gruenfeld's. And Alekhine's. At the very end, Alekhine uses the 3rd pillar, but he pins the rook to the king. And here black resigned. So there's your utterly magnificent game. Alekhine's bishops in this game is what I wanted to emphasize, simply for the reason that because he did too. And I am kind of on that theme of bishops. Quite a few people have asked, I don't know how to play my bishops very well. You'll notice that Alekhine had his Alekhine had his bishops outside, meaning toward the black side of things, so that the pawns could act as the outposts. The bishops were not behind the pawns being blocked out. They had come up and they were on the top side of the pawns. That makes powerful bishops. So, anyway, there's your video. I'm going to go study some tactics. I suck at tactics. I am furious with myself for being so lousy. And I'll tell you what. You can come on to my Lichess profile if you want. But you are going to see me start doing thousands of tactics because I'm gonna get good, dang it. And I am so not kidding. Have a great day. I will see you in the next Backyard Professor Chess video.